Our 40,000 Smite gem giveaway has begun for January, so make sure you enter into it using the description down below. The more ways you enter, the better chances you have to win. Hello everybody, we are here with your CABRAKEN solo guide. We're going to be waiting in the base in order to get our full-blown Shoes of the Magi. This is a very common start in the solo lane right now. For pretty much all Guardians that you run in solo, you'll see this picked up on Ymir, Cerberus, CABRAKEN. So these solo laners, these solo lane Guardians that are being played right now, it's a very popular start to try to give you a little bit of extra oomph in the early game. So we're going to get our Tremors here at level 1 for clearing out the lane, and we're going to be sitting in the fountain waiting until we can get these Shoes of the Magi, and we're going to run ourselves straight to that blue buff. For our active, we're getting ourselves Blink. Blink right now is the standard first active in solo lane. The teleport active has really fallen by the wayside. Almost nobody picks it up anymore. Blink is being used for the initiation, for potential ganks. It's got a lot of valuable plays that it can make, and so it is standardly the first active picked up. And then the second active picked up most in the solo lane is Thorns. Thorns stops hunters from building crit basically, and reflect damage is just very strong right now in general. So we're gonna grab this blue buff ASAP. We're gonna head over to the lane, and luckily with CABRAKEN's 3, we don't really have to worry about using it or not on like these 3 archers. Sometimes you got to worry about whether you can use an ability on these 3 archers because the cooldown won't be up for the next creeps. But CABRAKEN clears so fast and the cooldown on Tremors is so low, it literally doesn't even matter. So with CABRAKEN, we have really high kill potential here as well. So I'm going to switch over right onto the AMA and try to grab an early kill. Unfortunately, not quite going to be able to grab it. And I do take a tower shot, which I got to be careful about. So while you have a lot of damage here early, you also have a lot of potential to get killed if you're not careful. AMA is not a horrible god for against CABRAKEN because she's actually got a super easy interrupt. As long as he dashes into me with his 3, I'm in trouble, but he doesn't seem to have the confidence right now to do that. Or he didn't level his dash. He might have actually gotten his 1, so I'm just going to be running straight at him. I'm going to hit him with my Tremor, and he's going to be totally stuck in here and not able to get away. So part of playing against CABRAKEN is you have to be very confident in your gameplay, because if you're not extremely confident in your gameplay to like dash interrupt him, then you're going to find yourself in a bad spot. You got to be willing to get him outside of those Tremors, otherwise he is going to start bullying the lane. You can see this ridiculous damage output that I have right now. It is so high early game, so high. Now this damage will not last for forever on CABRAKEN. It will start to fall off. He really is though a lane bully for the first several levels. I would say until around level 7 or so, CABRAKEN tends to be one of the biggest, if not the biggest lane bully in the game right now in solo. So with this power boot start, whether you're running it on CABRAKEN, Ymir, whatever, your goal is you are going to back up, and you are still going to get your Warrior's Blessing and a Chalice of Healing. You're just not getting it right at the start. And that's because you want to abuse this early game Guardian clear. Your damage drops off later, but for now it's great. I'm also going to look for a quick kill. If he walks up, I'm looking for a Blink ulti. Blink ulti, so he's stuck. And I should be able to finish him off, except for I actually couldn't quite hit the 1 on him. That bonus movement speed from the AMA just barely going to get him out of range. That's fine. We back it up. We grab our Warrior's Blessing. We still grab a Chalice of Healing. And then we actually start to worry about our items that we're going to be buying, which is going to be a Breastplate of Valor here. First, Breastplate of Valor, going to give us some physical defenses for against the AMA in the solo lane. Looks like they have a Fenrir jungle, so we're going to get some protections for against his ganks as well. And we're going to get a bunch of bonus CDR, which is really what Guardians end up being in the mid to late game. You end up being kind of a CC providing frontline character. Not nearly as much damage, as the warriors, but you can still provide a lot of disruption to the fight, and a lot of your damage output will end up coming from that thorns in the later stages of the game, as you're just W queuing at the mid laner and the hunter in particular. So for CABRAKEN on our level order, we grab our Tremors at level 1, but that's actually going to be the ability that we max out last. The ability that we're going to max out first is our 2. This is going to lower, this is going to increase the damage and stun duration on this ability. And not only is it going to do that, it's also going to increase the amount of protections that we get per stack. It's also a fairly low cooldown, only 9 seconds. Most of our other abilities outside of Tremors are pretty long. So on CABRAKEN, you can start to proxy farm pretty fast. I wouldn't recommend proxy farming sub 5 minutes on most characters, but CABRAKEN, because of the nature of his clear, can typically start doing it right around that level 7 marker, because Tremors is just such a good clearing ability. And you don't even need to use the entirety of Tremors. If you just do like 3 or 4 bobs and then you hit him with your 2, your Seismic Crush, you're just gonna be able to kill that wave. The more you proxy farm, the reason why that's important is it lets you rotate into the enemy jungle and start looking at the enemy's buffs. So the second we start clearing these, we're going to be looking into the enemy jungle and just seeing what we can find. Their blue buff is up right now. I'm going to save my 2 for secure just in case the AMA or the jungler shows back up. So I'm going to wait until this is around 250 HP, and then I'm going to use my 2, which is going to secure the blue, and I'm going to continue to run into his jungle because I've still got a little bit of time. So this is probably the most important part of the solo lane. That's the difference between somebody that really knows what they're doing in solo and doesn't know what they're doing, is the confidence to go into the enemy jungle. But you taking away that little bit of farm from the enemy jungle is gonna put them so far behind. And if you can be winning your lane hard enough in clear to be going and taking their buff, yeah, you're getting extra XP for yourself, but you're also really helping out all of your other lanes, because the jungle isn't gonna be nearly as big if they're not getting those back camps and if they're not getting the blue buff. If you're getting both of those, that is fan-freaking-tastic.
An enemy has been slain.
For our standard ability combination on CABRAKEN, it's going to be our ulti right into our 2. After our 2, we are going to either follow up with our 1 stun or go right into our Tremors. So you got to see it right there. You start off with the ulti to wall them off. Then you go into your 2 if you have that stun up, and then 1 and then 3. If you don't have your 2 stun built up, then instead of doing 4, 2, 1, 3, you're going to be starting off with your 1 first. Maybe you're blinking into a fight from out of combat. So you can pop your 1 before you blink. You can have this active and on your character before you go anywhere. So you're going to 1 first, go for the auto, then you're going to ulti 2. So your combinations are 4, 2, 1, 3, or 1, 4, 2, 3, just depending on the exact situation. I've got a bunch of gold right now. I can get myself a full breastplate of valor, so I'm going to go ahead and back it up, making sure to throw down a point into my 2 as well as my ultimate. You're going to rank up your ulti whenever you can, because it's going to increase the damage quite significantly on the ult. We get our 2 all the way up to max. Then we increase our 1. Our 1 is going to lower the cooldown, give us increased movement speed and increased damage. All the Tremors does is give you a little bit increased tremor damage, but it's not nearly as relevant as the burst that you're going to get from your other abilities. So we level it up last. So your level order is 4, 2, 1, 3.
I'll attack.
Now that I've got this tower down, I'm going to need to make sure I get out some wards to see that I don't get ganked. So I'm going to put out some aggressive wards right here to start running into their jungle again. Warding this back camp is also quite advisable. So saving a ward toward that back camp so you know exactly when it comes up, so you can just keep running all the way over and stealing it is a good idea. My wards are a little bit more defensive. That AMA is kind of just running into me. Because he's an AMA, I can't catch up to him with my 1, so we can kind of get away with it. But a lot of other characters would be in trouble. So So for CABRAKEN, what don't you want to go against in lane? You don't want to go against anybody that has a really, really easy interrupt for your Tremors. I'm actually going to rotate to mid lane right here, see if we can't try to help them out. They're actually winning this fight by themselves, it seems. I'm going to try to blink over this wall. Ulti's going to be able to tank out the hell, and we should actually walk right over to the Gold Fury. 3 dead. AMA was over solo. She's rotated mid, but I can start tanking this. So you don't want to go against anybody that's got a super easy ability to interrupt you out of your Tremors. AMA, typically, actually not horrible. Her problem is that her lane clear isn't that good right now. So even if she interrupts your clear, she still doesn't really have good clear herself. Somebody like a Ymir can just freeze you right out of it every single time. Do be wary. Sometimes people will get the ability that interrupts you out of your Tremors at level 1. So be careful about using your Tremors willy-nilly at level 1. Sometimes people in the solo lane, like maybe you're against a Wukong, he might go crazy and get like his tiger form first so he can just stun you right out of the Tremors. So just keep that in mind that some people might try to do that. Outside of that, that's really the only thing you're worried about. If they can't interrupt you out of Tremors, then they have no hope of out-clearing you on CABRAKEN. There's just nothing that they can do about it. Their only thing that they can do is interrupt you out of the 3. So if they don't have any hard CC abilities that are taking you out of it, you know, if they're not Hades fearing you out of it or whatever, you're mere freezing you, then you're gonna be fine and dandy in the early game, and you're gonna be a bully for at least the first 5 minutes. At least. For things that you do like going against on CABRAKEN, obviously step 1, people that can't interrupt you out of your clear in the solo lane, but more general for the entire match, you're looking to go against characters that do not have leaps because of your built-in wall, and your Tremors. You're really good against characters that either have dashes or no escape skills. It can be very hard to escape a CABRAKEN without being able to jump over a wall. So against this team, Hell is actually a great target for me. She's got bonus movement speed, but bonus movement speed doesn't really matter if you're just walking into a wall. Compared to like the Izanami Fenrir, who have much easier times getting out of my ability. So CABRAKEN is not particularly great against those guys because they can get out of a lot of your stuff. But that doesn't mean that you can't play against gods with leaps. You just have to play against them a little bit differently. So I'm going to be backing up, and I'm going to go right into a Pestilence this game. This item is not for me at all. This is for my team. Hal, one of the major healers right now. So I'm going to make sure I get anti-healing online ASAP to help out my team. I also can grab my Thorns for my second active, and I'm going to rank up Thorns immediately. Ranking up Thorns right off the bat is typically advisable. When you rank it up, that's when you get that minus to incoming lifesteal. So without it ranked up, lifesteal still really works against you. Once you have it ranked up, when that Thorns is popped, lifesteal is basically a trash can against you. So you're really maximizing that reflect damage. This poor Hell is just going to get stuck in all my combo. Fenrir doesn't have his 1 or his 2 up. AMA is TPing in. So now I'm going to try to peel back here for my boys. Make sure that nobody dies. There we go. I'm going to body block off the AMA from dashing out in this direction. So she's going to have to go towards my walls. Not going to be able to use it. Pop my Thorns so she can't even fight back if she wanted to. And we're going to be able to grab ourselves this tier 1 tower as well as the fight. And we can move on towards the Pyromancer. If you don't have to get yourself the Pestilence at this stage of the game, standardly what you're going to be going into is just a Stone of Gaia. I'm still going to be getting myself a Stone of Gaia this game because it is such a good item. But I needed to make sure that I had the anti-heal for this team. AMA has healing. Remember, every time she stand switches, she's getting healed. Fenrir has built-in healing on his 2. I'm sure Izanami has built some sort of healing. She's got a Devo gloves. We've got anti-healing for the Stone of Gaia, not even including the actual heals that you're gonna get from Hell. So anti-healing, extremely important right now in Smite. But every game is a little bit different. Your build should never, ever be entirely static. You should always be willing to mix it up. as the game progresses. You never know if you're going to be against a team that's got 5 magical characters. Well, then all of a sudden you don't want a Breastplate of Valor if you're against 5 magical characters now, do you? Doesn't do any good to build you physical defense, so maybe you grab yourself something like a Genji's Guard, where you're still grabbing some CDR, you're still getting some HP and some tankiness, but there's no point to build that physical defense in that hypothetical situation. So you always need to be ready to mix up your build. Might be anti-heal earlier or later, or not at all. Might be physical defense, magical defense earlier or later. Might be some other counter item. Always got to keep that in mind.
I got your back, brother.
Once you get yourself a decent lead in the solo lane, I recommend you start focusing a little bit more on rotations. It's great that you get yourself a lead in solo, but sometimes you'll see people in solo lane get a nice little lead for themselves and then just stay over in the solo lane, so that lead never actually transitions into anything for your team, right? Like if you get a lead over in solo, but you never rotate, then it's kind of a fake lead because you're never showing that presence around the map. So develop that lead, get yourself ahead, and then start rotating around the map, particularly around objective spawns. If you're big enough to be rotating, then you should be going over for every Gold Fury. You can tank it for your team, or you can zone out for your team. And those Gold Furies will start to snowball the rest of the people on your team. So make sure you are utilizing that lead. Now, this doesn't mean never go back to your lane, right? Please don't take that as never go back to your lane. You still need to farm your lane. There's going to be a bunch of XP over there. If you're not getting that XP, then nobody is. But that comes back to proxy farming. Get as many waves as you can, then start the rotation. That way you're still maximizing your farm, so you're not falling behind on your lead, but you're also actually bringing your lead to the team. Solo lane is probably the most, I don't know, it's got a lot of weird like timings, a lot of weird rotations you have to do. Sometimes people get bogged down and just focus on, okay, I just got to make sure I win this exact lane. I got to get the tower first. I got to make sure that I just have, you know, half a level more XP. But a lot of solo comes into the timing of your rotations in making them efficient. The difference between an okay solo laner and a top tier solo laner is going to be them knowing when is a good time to rotate so they can get maximum value, whether it's a team fight win, whether it's a Gold Fury, a Pyromancer, whatever.
America to the rest.
So my job on CABRAKEN, as we move into the mid stage of the game, into the team fights, I am going to be diving into the backline. We have a Woojer. Woojer is extremely good at peeling, so I do not have to worry about peeling for my team. That should be totally fine. So I can just focus straight on doing damage. I am just getting walled off like crazy right here, but hopefully this actually ends up being a good fight for us. They use so much on me on the cab, so we might actually be able to turn this into a really good fight. We're gonna get 2-3 kills off of this. AMA is pretty low, and we should be able to grab this tier 2 tower as well, so not bad. Gonna get myself that Stone of Gaia as my next item. Right on there. So for Stone of Gaia, this passive is really good. This knockup, knockback, pull, grab effect is nice. I am a true believer that you don't actually need this to be a necessary component of Stone of Gaia in order to buy it. I think there's an argument to be made for like a Jorm, where Jorm literally can't be hit by these effects by the nature of his passive, because he's a big thick boy. So maybe you don't get a Stone of Gaia on Jorm, but otherwise the raw HP 5% regen values that you're getting from Stone of Gaia is just so good in the solo lane, which is why you see it picked up so often as a second or third item over in solo. So I'm going to be diving right into the backline. My priority target is going to be Hell for 2 reasons. 1, she's a healer. Healers really ought to be your priority targets in this meta. 2, she doesn't have any sort of leap, so I can wall him off successfully and hopefully put him in a bad position so that my team can get the kills. It is time for our team to start rotating over towards the fire giant. We've got good vision out into the world, so we can start looking for the big fire. Fenrir's moving up a little bit. I'm gonna walk up right towards him. I don't want to use my ultimate on him because he can jump right on out of it. I'm gonna try to body block this AMA from using her dash, so she's actually gonna start going into her ultimate instead. I'm gonna go back and peel a little bit right now for my team because this Fenrir and this AMA were so far zoned. I didn't need to go any further into the back line. I just needed to make sure that nobody on our team died. Now I'm going to start tanking the fire giant for my team. As a solo laner, your job on the fire giant is going to be to either tank it or zone. So right now I'm tanking it. Towards the end, I'm going to look here just to make sure nobody's trying to come in. If your support is tanking it, then on solo, you're probably zoning for the fire. If you're tanking the fire as the solo, then your support should probably be zoning. Zoning just means standing outside of the fire range, looking for people coming in so you can prevent them from coming into the fire giant to guarantee that your team gets it. Don't even allow them the opportunity to steal. So we should retreat right here, not go for this. We should actually back up, go into that left-hand side jungle, and go for the Gold Fury.
Okay.
So I'm going to get myself a Void Stone this game. This Void Stone is a little bit for me, but it's also a lot for my team. So we've got a Thoth on our team, level 18, I imagine. He's actually not got top damage right now. Wukong does. How about that? 9-0 Wukong. Good for you, buddy. But we've got some good magic damage coming into the late game with a Thoth. Plus, we've got me and a Emoja. Don't sleep on the Emoja damage. So this is just going to help us all get some bonus damage online. This is really more of a team item right now. Less about me, more about the team on the whole. Their entire team is actually here to contest this, so we're fighting this. I'm looking back trying to find the hell. There she is. I'm waiting for him to pick a direction. Once he picks a direction, then I'm going to wall him up. And so we should be able to grab that quick kill on Hal. Fenrir jumps right back in. He uses his ultimate. I see AMA over in the left lane with the Wukong. I'm going to try to cut off his dash. We should go back and grab these Onis. Actually, we don't need to grab the Onis if we can grab the Phoenix, but no, we're not going to be able to get any more kills. If we would have gotten a third kill right here, we could have just shoved up for the mid lane for the quick Phoenix. We don't get it. That's fine. No reason to get greedy. We can come right back for the Gold Fury and also shove up left lane to get that tier 2 tower. For the most part, you almost always this season want to get all the tier 2s down before you start shoving into Phoenixes. And that's just really because a lot of throws this season happen in that Titan room where you go to kill the Titan, you get it really low, and then you don't kill it all the way. It's like 1,000 HP left. And then the team that was losing just runs down all the way to your Titan and kills it in one big fell swoop. That's like a very, in fact, probably the most common way that games are thrown right now is just one all the way back down the lane. So you get all this tier 2 towers down, take away as much HP from the Titan as you can. So I'm going to blink in and look for Izanami this fight. I see the creeps are coming in 3, 2, 1. So I'm blinking in. I see the Izzy. I'm going to try to zone him right on out of this fight. He's getting zoned out right now. Now I'm coming back to my squad. I'm still tanking, so I'm going to pop my thorns to try to get people off of me, but I am still being held within this. That's okay. I am so tanky from all of my items. I'm gonna get that nice proc. I'm gonna still ulti this Izzy, try to get him into a bad spot. Bada bing, bada boom, and we're winning this fight hard. You see how I got up all up in their business right there as CABRAKEN? I was right in their face, and they were using so many abilities on me, right? They used Fenrir ulti on me. They used Izanami ult. I was just getting them to waste all of their abilities. And so here's the deal. Even if I die in that engagement, that is still a great fight for us. Sacrificing your body as a solo laner, if they use all of their abilities, all their ultimates on you, and you die, but then you get 3 kills for it, that's a great trade. So you're always trying to get them to use actives. You're trying to burn actives, right, by using your 1 and your 2. You're using your stuns, burn them down. You're trying to get the enemy to use abilities on you. I help stay alive. I've got a Yamoja who can peel for me, right? She's throwing down 2s. I'm getting heals from that. I'm getting heals from Stone of Gaia. I'm already by default tanky. I got a lot of CDR. Just by hitting me, they're hitting themselves because of the way the Thorns works. And so you end up just kind of running down the W key right at people. For our last item that game, we would have gotten rid of the Warrior's Blessings. You can go into percent mitigations. They work really well in CABRAKEN because of your passive being partly percent mitigations. You can stack that with the Oni Hunter's Garb as well as Spear Robe for a lot of percent mitigations, which makes you very, very tanky. Also generically good items. You can go a little bit more aggressive. Sometimes even tankier CABRAKENs, if they're feeling themselves, like to get a Polynomicon, because Polynomicon does proc on your one. So if you're feeling confident, you're not dying, you've got a little bit more of these damage items. You know, you've got your Power Boot still, you've got your Void Stone, stuff like that. You can sometimes get away with that Poly for the bonus damage on the backline, especially if there's one specific backline character, maybe just their hunter is wrecking you and you want to try to get more of a one-shot on them. You still have that option, guys. And that is our CABRAKEN solo lane guide.